it feels like Aggies basketball is going down in flames.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into this bonus edition of Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Matt Galatzan of Texas A&M Aggies on SI. Welcome to Locked On Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network in the world. I am joined today again by Harrison Reno. And Harrison, it feels like the Aggies basketball dreams are going down in flames right in front of us. They've lost 4 in a row, most recently to Vanderbilt, 82-69 in Nashville. This comes off of a devastating 1-point loss to Missouri the game before, and an absolute drubbing at the hands of Florida before that, and then another tough loss to Alabama that started off the losing streak. But it was not a great showing for Texas A&M on the hardwood once again. You had simply what we can only describe as a must-win against Vanderbilt, and your stars didn't show up. Rashaun Agee had 8 points. He did have 11 rebounds and 2 blocks, but he just did not have it on the offensive floor, finishing 3 of 12 from the field. And Ruben Dominguez continues to slide. Just 3 points for Dominguez on 1 of 6 shooting, 1 of 4 from 3. Marcus Hill was your only player in double figures. He had 20 on 9 of 16 shooting. But it's getting to a point where it's starting to feel like we should be concerned about Texas A&M. Ruben Dominguez has only been in double figures once in the last 6 games. He hasn't had more than 5 points in the last 4 games, and he was such a major part of why you're so successful offensively. He's been neutralized. So now you're sitting at 17-8 in the conference, or in overall. You're in a position where I believe you're 7-5 in the SEC. And at one point we were kind of sitting there and we were saying, hey, this is a tournament team. There's no two ways about it. There's no way that they collapse down the stretch. Now it is really, really starting to feel like this team is just falling apart at the seams, specifically offensively, which is where Bucky McMillan, has made his name with the Bucky Ball brand. So it's a very concerning thing for Texas A&M.
Yeah, hugely concerning considering the fact he had such a strong start. And, maybe the Aggies are going to get hit ×2 with the finishing mantra theme this offseason. With A&M basketball and A&M football, talking about it both. Matt, it's just been a tough go. And, when you kind of look ahead to the future, obviously March is creeping up on you. We're midway through February, and everyone's going to start talking about the big dance. And you look at the path to get there. It's getting harder. And the thing I worry about most, Matt, is the resume for A&M, considering this 4-game losing streak. You don't have a ranked win in your entire season so far. And as of right now, you only have one more opponent on the schedule that is currently ranked. So where are you going to get this big resume boosting win? Because even if you do say you finish 9-9 in conference play, which I do believe 9-9, finishing 500 gets you to a point where you're still in a good position to make the tournament. And you should probably be in as more than a bubble team. There's going to be a question mark in terms of what the resume looks like because, in its current state, you don't have a marquee win. And that's something you need to, further boost yourself and to secure you a spot in the dance. But not only just that, not only just getting into it, but also in terms of assessing how far you can make it into the tournament. It's not been a great start to the month, obviously. You lose 4 in a row, 2 of those to ranked opponents. And, Matt, I got to say, I'm willing to cast the Florida loss aside. I get it was by nearly 20 points. It was by 19-point loss. I know that's not great, especially at home. But Florida seems to be a team that is on the surge. They're ascending. And the defending champions, they're a really good team. One of the best the SEC has to offer. It's the losses to Missouri and Alabama that are one-score games that really just hurt you the most and nag at you. Because at the end of the day, you were competitive until you weren't with the Gators, and you were competitive with the Doors until you weren't.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk more about the path to March Madness here in our second segment, but it hasn't been all terrible offensively for Texas A&M. Like over the past 4 games, you were not great against Vanderbilt. You shot 39% from the floor. Against Missouri, you shot 50% from the floor, so that's good. But then against Florida, you were 31% from the floor, and again against Alabama, you were 49% from the floor. So it's like your offense is almost like Frankenstein's monster over the last 4 games. Like either you're playing well offensively and you can't stop them defensively, or you just can't shoot the ball, and it's really starting to come back and bite them in the butt. And that's unfortunate because we were really high on this team, seeming like a week or two ago. Like it was like, oh yeah, this is a surefire tournament team. Bucky McMillan is a candidate for SEC Coach of the Year, like all this kind of stuff. Now it doesn't feel that way. But let's take a quick break, Harrison. When we come back, we'll talk about that path to March Madness here up next on Locked On Aggies. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure is on, you need the right hire. This is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's the stat that says it all. In the last minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Again, spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get you a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. This episode is also brought to you by Mazda. This is Mazda's moving the game forward for those who show there's more to the score than what's on the screen. I'm always reminded of Marcel Reed against South Carolina in the second half of that game. Down 30-3, he led the Aggies back with a dominant performance through the air and helped save their college football playoff skin, winning that game 31-30. These moments remind us of what it really takes to raise the bar. It's that extra work off the court, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, and I never quit. We put that same passion into every model. Highlights make the reel. What it took to get there makes it count. There's a lot more to Mazda because there's more to you. And finally, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team that can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of the year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can you pick your cash, but it can also send you to the NBA Finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on NBA futures and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Whew. All right, Harrison. March Madness. Doesn't seem like it's looking great for Texas A&M right now if they continue on this trajectory that they're on right now, which is they've lost 4 straight, and they got to get a win. They got to. And they've got a pretty good opportunity coming up with Ole Miss. Ole Miss has really struggled this year under Chris Beard. They are 11-14 overall, just 3 SEC wins over Missouri, Georgia, and Mississippi State. All of those came in a row. Since then, the Rebels have lost 7 straight. So you're facing a team that is now on the same path, or on a much worse path than you are. Their tournament hopes are done. There's no way that they're going to make it into the tournament. But that's a must win. And then after that, you get Oklahoma, who's been really pesky this year. The Sooners are 13-12. And they went on a big losing streak in SEC play earlier this year, but they have won back-to-back games against Vanderbilt and Georgia. So they're a pretty solid team right now. And then, as we get a little bit deeper in, you have a really good Arkansas team you have to face on the road. Then you play Texas at home, Kentucky at home, and then you close out the season with LSU. I mean, I'm not certain that. So like the magic number for getting into the tournament for everyone seems to be 20. Like that's just how it's been for a long time. You get 20 wins, you're probably a tournament team. 19, you're kind of on that edge of like first 4 in, first 4 out kind of a deal. I think you have to go 4-2 over this next 6 if you're going to make it. Like for sure going to make it. And I think that 2 of those wins probably have to be Arkansas, Texas, and Kentucky. Like 2 of those 3 games you have to win, and that's it. Or otherwise you're probably up a creek.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think you have to get a marquee win of sorts, and that's where the good news comes into play. Texas looks like a team that is ascending at the right time. Obviously on a winning streak, they won 4 in a row. They're going to play LSU, Georgia, and Florida before they face you. There's a chance Texas puts themselves in a position where it could come down to a Texas A&M showdown in terms of matching resumes and seeing, which of those team gets into the dance at the end of the year. And if you're A&M, you already have that win over them earlier in the year. Why not try and go get it at home and bring out the sweep, bring out the brooms for that one. But yeah, Matt, the path to March Madness is certainly narrowing, and it's a stark contrast to what we saw earlier in the season. Obviously, Joe Lunardi is going to release his newest and latest bracketology tomorrow. I'm curious to see where he slots A&M, because as of last week, or going into the weekend, he had Missouri as one of the last teams in, which they were fresh off a win over Texas A&M. And he had Texas A&M as the 9 seed facing number 8, the 8 seed Iowa. And that was in Philadelphia. I'm curious to see where A&M drops now, because obviously 4 losses in a row. I don't imagine you hang on to that 9 seed. You're probably looking maybe at a 10 seed this week. I think maybe on the high end, in my opinion.
Yeah, and look, you're sitting at 17-8. I think you have to go 3-3. To close out the season. And if you do that, then you're in probably. But you'd feel a lot better about it if you can get one over Kentucky, Arkansas, or Texas in that stretch. You need to have that marquee win. They just don't have one. They don't have a win over a ranked team this year. They don't have a win, a big quality win at all on their schedule this year, with the exception of Georgia, and now that Texas win earlier in the year looks a little bit better. So that's working in your favor. You beat Auburn too, which is a pretty good win, but you don't have like that certified marquee ranked win over a really good opponent. I want to say that this Arkansas game is probably the most critical game left on your schedule for the remainder of the year. If you get that win, even if you don't get to 20, I feel like you're in good shape. If you don't, maybe you're not. But that's a quad 1 win on the road in a tough environment against a team that a lot of people think can make a Final Four run this year. So we'll see where that goes.
Essentially, Matt, you want to put yourself in a position where it's not win and get in the SEC tournament. Like, you don't want to have to win 3 games in a row in the SEC tournament to just have a chance at making the March Madness. Like, you want to be in a spot where your postseason fate is sealed no matter what you do come the SEC tournament. So, and
Yeah.
right now it looks like they're not really in a position to do that. If they continue this losing streak, they're going to have to win games before even getting to the SEC tournament. And fighting for, at that point, if you don't meet 3-3 over your last 6 games, then you're talking about fighting for your postseason future in terms of playing in the SEC tournament.
Yeah, don't want that. Let's get some wins here, Bucky. Come on, let's get to 20.
You could always be Maryland right now.
Yeah, you could be Maryland. You could be Buzz Williams. I think A&M got out in the better end of that deal. But let's finish 3-3. Let's get a quality win. 10-8 in the SEC. 20 wins. All the things. And you should be in good shape. But that's going to do it for this this bonus episode of Locked On Aggies. Thanks for tuning in today. Make sure to subscribe and follow Locked On Aggies to get all of the latest episodes. Follow us on social media, X, Instagram, TikTok at Locked On Aggies. I'm on X at Matt Galatzan. Harrison's on X at Harrison Reno. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Aggies ad-free plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonaggies.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you the first ever national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure your second listen is Locked On College Basketball, and we will see you next time.